Hello there, clan, and welcome back to the Lower Den. It's been a little while since we actually did this, and I feel as though I kind of have a good chance to do this. Now, this is a little bit different from the Lower Dens I did in the past. Instead of me talking about specific lore and regions, which I will do eventually, I thought, bringing it back, let's talk about characters first. And what better way to start than with The Witcher 3, or the Witcher universe in general. Let's dive into this and cue the intro. Okay, now, primarily, let me just state this right now. I do know there are going to be quite a few Witcher purists out there, and also a few Witcher fans of the books. I have only fully read The Last Wish. This was the book that came out first here, and I did pick it up after beating Witcher 2. Now, the next book in the series is Sword of Destiny, which only recently came out, but I have read half of the Blood Elves. But I have read this, and this does have a little bit of relevance and all that. But primarily, my knowledge of the Witcher universe comes from the games. So I am going to be talking about my character personality and what I think about them, and the type of person I think they are, at least from the game's perspective. And they may be different in the books, I completely understand that. And I will maybe in the future go back to the characters once I've actually read the books that primarily focused on them, or once I've read the entirety of the Witcher series, which could take a while. But the first character we're going to be talking about is a character who made her debut in The Witcher 3, but was referenced at least a few times in The Witcher 2, and I believe Witcher 1 as well, and has also made her debut in this book. And that is Yennefer of Vengerberg. Vengerberg, I believe is how you pronounce it. Geralt's one true love. Or at least that's what you wished for to an extent. Now, of course, firstly, there will be spoilers. I'm giving you a warning right now. I can't talk about Yennefer without going spoilers. So, hopefully you understand that. So, really, the first thing I have to talk about is my first impressions of Yennefer. Now, as I say, most of my knowledge comes from Witcher 3. That's where I mostly know Yennefer from. But I will give my first impressions of the character in this book. Now, basically, she is only in the last story of this book, which I believe, is called The Last Wish. It's a relatively short story, but it is the name of the book, basically. So it kind of makes sense about that, but she is only in the last story of this book, which is, and just get let's get the page number. I should have probably marked this, but yes, she made her debut in this story, which is The Last Wish, which is roughly about that thick. That page plus that. So it is a short story, but it does give you a good impression of the character of Yennefer of Vengerberg. And my first impersonations of the character from the book was that she was stubborn, arrogant, willing to do despicable things to get what she needs, but at the same time also has a good heart in a way. Like, deep down she is a good person. But at the same time, she is also willing to do quite despicable things to actually get it, including mind controlling people and manipulating people, and using her body to actually do that at some points. Not so much in The Last Wish, but we'll get to that in a moment. But most of my knowledge does come from the game. So Yennefer made her debut in Witcher 3, so that is my first impersonation and also my first visual look at her. Now, I did have an image of what she looked like, and Witcher 3 actually pretty much nailed it in my opinion. I had an idea she had long black hair, beautifully chiseled features. She was, in a way, beautiful. Probably one of the most beautiful characters in the Witcher universe. But of course, that is due to the fact that if you know the Witcher universe, sorceresses aren't actually beautiful, really. They use magic to actually adjust their features and make themselves beautiful. It's very much hinted at. I know this from the books, and also it is referenced in the source material in the game, so it is primarily from the games, is that most sorceresses are the rejects from families. The ugly children, basically. The children that would not improve their status royally, basically, or are basically abandoned. And these sorceresses are people who probably were not the best looking people in the world, like at least physically. Maybe they had crooked teeth, they had a lazy eye, and of course Yennefer, we do know this actually, it's the way that Geralt describes her in the book and also for a little bit in the game. Yennefer was a hunchback by the looks of it. The way that he describes the way she looks, she was a hunchback, and she used magic to make herself look beautiful. And Yennefer's actually fairly old. I believe she's aged nearly a century old, so she is using magic to make herself. So in a way, she is a bit of a vain character. At least most sorceresses, in my opinion, are that kind of person. But at the same time, sorceresses are meant to be these characters who are meant to represent nobility and work with kings and queens and all that, at least until Witcher 3 comes along. That's what sorceresses are meant to do, and also sorcerers. And so it does make sense for them to actually look attractive. That's why sorceresses are physically appealing to most people, is the fact that they use magic to do so. Most of them probably were not born looking like that. And Yennefer is a prime example. Yennefer is probably one of the most stunning looking characters in the Witcher universe, and that just kind of a bit of a testament to how powerful as a sorceress she is. Now, me personally, she's not my personal favourite. That's actually Triss. I love redheads. I can't help it. I guess it's just part of the genes, I guess. But that is a good sign of the character of Yennefer, is that she is a bit vain in a way, but at the same time she also understands that magic helped her get here. So that's a good sign, and also she's also a good example of how people will use magic in this world. Sometimes for their own personal gain, but for other means. Now, of course, when it comes to the game, I will give my first impersonations of her. My first interpretation of her, at least when she makes her introduction, is that she's very stubborn. And that even from the book I could get that, is that she is a stubborn character. She definitely likes getting her own way and is not above using manipulation and lies to actually get that. She actually is a very secretive person, even to Geralt, someone who she claims to love, which I actually think she does love him. And not claims, she does love Geralt. But even the person she loves, she is willing to lie to and not tell him the full truth of various scopes and tasks that he's doing. Even throughout the game, when she's wanting to recover a relic to help find Ciri, she doesn't tell Geralt the whole truth. She actually lies to his face, because that is what she thinks is needed. She thinks that lying is the best way to get what she needs sometimes, and using manipulation and various other things is something that the type of person that I definitely feel she is. But that's not really a testament to her character. That's a testament to how she grew up, how she had to work as a sorceress to actually do that. She didn't get along too well with the other sorceresses, at least from what I can gather, and she definitely does that to her detriment. She definitely is that type of character that has got so used to lying that it's almost second nature to her, that even to the people she loves, she will lie to either protect them or what she sees as protecting them. That's the definite type of character I've come. And also, another thing, of course, I've already mentioned, she is also a very prideful character. She does not share. She makes that quite apparent when you say to her, and my Geralt said to her, look, I lost my memory when I had no idea who you were. I lost my memory for the second time in the game at Kaer Morhen, and then she threw me through a portal into a lake. That to me sums up how prideful she is. She is very prideful. She does not like being talked down to, and she does not. She believes herself to be superior to most people. That's something I definitely come across to her. Even Geralt, in my opinion, she definitely comes across as that she loves Geralt, but she believes she's better than him. At least that's the type of character I definitely see her. Is that she is pride is probably her worst sin. Is that she is an extremely prideful person and is willing to actually lie to keep that pride going, and also use it to her advantage. And when she is shot down, when her pride is hurt, you can tell. You can tell that something hurt a lot in her, that you basically hurt her pride, and that's something that I think hits deep with her, at least in my opinion. And that's something I have to do with that is. However, I do also see the good in it. Even though she is prideful, she is at the same time loyal. She loves Geralt, she loves Ciri, and she loves her friends. Friends like Dandelion, and of course Triss Merigold, who is a dear friend to her. One of her dearest friends to her, who also sleeps with her boyfriend. That's beside the point, let's get into that. I'll get to Triss eventually. But in all honesty, I think I do feel as though, I don't know if she says it in the books, but I do feel as though she would choose Triss over Geralt, because I do believe she cares more for Triss in a way than Geralt, as a friendship, sort of like a sisterly relationship in my opinion. Or Triss sees her as a bit of a mother figure. It's debatable. Your own interpretation. For me, it's more of a sisterly bond, personally. That I think Yennefer and Triss are more like sisters, in my opinion. That's at least how I see it. So she is a loyal person, and she will die for her friends. She has died for her friends. She is willing to do despicable and horrible things to save her friends, and that is very adamant to what she does to save Ciri. To save Ciri, she uses a very dangerous and dark, powerful magic. She brings a dead person back to life, and this person is in pain. It happens in Skellige, where you basically are bringing a person who was the last person to see Ciri back from the dead. He died. He was dead. Eaten by a werewolf, by the way. Mostly. But she brought him back to life using the magic of an area that they were in, which was extremely religiously significant to the Skellige people, who already are supernatural, creepy people. Like, they believe so adamantly in the gods that they will praise them and also fear them. But Yennefer, without even a second thought, uses the magic of an extremely significant area to these Skellige people to bring a dead person back to life, and in doing so, drains the entire area of its magic, killing the trees and plants around it. And these Skellige people see that. They see her do this. And they banish. They are furious. They are furious at her and Geralt for letting this happen, even though my Geralt was like to stop this. Look, I understand we need to save Ciri, but stop this. We'll find another way. But she didn't even hesitate. She did it like that. But at the same time, she took the whole blame. She didn't let Geralt fall on the sword. Geralt kind of got away scot-free in a way. At least in a way. Yennefer, without batting an eyelash, took all of the blame. She was like, it's not his fault. I did this. He tried to stop me. I did this. Which is another example of her character. She knew what she was doing was wrong, and she didn't want Geralt to suffer for it. She loves Geralt, and she was literally just like, I will take all the blame. And that to me spoke more about her character than anything else in the games. Is that she is willing to do a horrible, despicable thing to save her daughter. And no ifs, buts, or what's about it. Ciri is her daughter. And Ciri is... Ciri sees Yennefer as a mother. Yennefer sees Ciri as her daughter. She is willing to do despicable things for her daughter, and willing to take all of the blame for the man she loves. Not even the man, the person she loves. She loves Geralt, and she is willing to take the blame for it. She is willing to take every bit of the blame for what she did to these Skellige people, and willing to live with it. Because these people hate her. They despise her for what she does. And in all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if they attempted to kill her in the future. And one does attempt, but that's beside the point. But that is something I definitely think is very important about her character. Is that she is willing to do despicable things for the people she loves, and willing to take the blame for it. That to me is someone who truly loves someone. And cares deeply for them. And the voice actress in the game does it exceptionally well. She is probably spot on with that. The word choice, the way she said it, it was spot on. So I definitely think that is a good example of her character. That is probably one of the best scenes that shows her character and what she's willing to do. But at the same time, it also is another testament that she is willing to do some pretty horrible things to get power. Which is very disturbing in my opinion. But I do feel as that moment is the point in which she realised what she was doing, and that was the point where she realised I may have gone too far. But she needed to go that far. And also, I guess I have to talk about her relationship with Geralt. Now, as I say, I only read this book, the full book. I've read a bit of Blood Elves, but Yennefer isn't present in that mainly. But this is the first time Geralt meets Yennefer, and right off the bat they kind of click, especially with the wish that he makes for her, which I won't spoil in all honesty. Very important. But Yennefer needed an answer. Yennefer, I do believe, loves Geralt with all of her heart, because they've been together for 15 plus years, maybe even 20 years, I think, if memory serves me. And her side quest, her last side quest, is called The Last Wish, in which she knows where a genie is, and she wants an answer to a question that has been bugging her and eating away at her ever since she met Geralt, ever since the day that he made that wish that he could be with her. That is this. Is it just a genie's wish, or do I really love this man? So she helps you fight a genie, a djinn, a very powerful creature, in order to get that answer. That is very important. That, in my opinion, was the quest that made me go, holy shit, Yennefer, I understand her now. I respect her now. I may not agree with her, but I respect her. And it broke my heart. Because my canon one, I was with Triss. And I'd already set that in stone, and my Geralt doesn't cheat. My Geralt does love Yennefer. But he was with Triss. And he had to say no to Yennefer. Because Yennefer poured her heart out to him. After they made the wish, after they beat the genie, and she makes the wish that to undo Geralt's wish, her feelings don't change. It wasn't the wish that made her love Geralt. It was her own heart that did that. In my opinion, that was outstanding. That to me spoke volumes of her character and why I actually changed my opinion on her. I didn't like Yennefer at the start of the game. I'll be honest, I didn't. I thought she was arrogant, stubborn. But then that quest happened. Those two quests, back to back. Bringing a dead person back to life and taking the blame for Geralt. And willing to fight an incredibly powerful being just to get an answer of love. That to me changed my opinion on her. That scene is where her mask goes away. Because Yennefer wears a mask. Not magically, but just herself. She's an example of someone who puts on a mask, puts on a facade of a posh, arrogant, prideful person. But when deep down there's someone completely different. And that one quest, those two quests, that mask goes away. She takes it off, she puts it down. And we get to see the real Yennefer. The mother. And the lover. We get to see the real Yennefer. And what she is. And Yennefer, while she may be a powerful sorceress, a absolutely beautiful woman, smelling of lilac and gooseberries, underneath all of that, underneath the magic, underneath the mask, she's a mother. And a wife. And a partner. That is what I saw under that mask. Is someone who's a mother. Who is in love with a man she's known all her life. A man that she didn't realise she could love. That is when we saw that mask fall. And it broke my heart in my canon playthrough to say no to her. Because as soon as you say no, that mask goes back on. Right away. If you say no to her, the mask goes right back on. And she never takes it off again. Throughout the entire game, she will never take that mask off again because she opened her heart to someone and that person did not accept it. But if you say yes, which I did do in my playthrough, the mask stays off. And we see the real Yennefer. That to me was amazing. The voice actress does an excellent job with that. And even from someone who even though most of my knowledge comes from the games, and this is the only game that Yennefer is in, I knew more about her character than I did from other characters who were in the other games. That is something I think is very powerful about Yennefer. Is that you learn so much from her in such a short time. Even though I put over probably nearly 200 hours into this game, that's still not a lot of that time was spent with Yennefer, but every moment that was spent with Yennefer was outstanding. And you learn more and more about her. And before everyone asks, yes, I did the unicorn. You know the scene. I couldn't resist. Unicorn. But yeah. That's something I think is very important, is that when that mask falls, you see the real Yennefer. I think that's very important. And that's very just, shall we say. I think it's another testament how well CD Projekt Red developed the character from the book, with I've only seen one scene of her, to here. Now, as I say, my opinion may change of her when I eventually get around to reading the rest of the books, where she is more prevalent, I'm sure, no doubt. I have no doubt. So I will come back to Yennefer and talk about her from the book's perspective. But from the game's perspective, I love her character. She's a tragic character, in my opinion. And it warms my heart to say yes to her sometimes. Because she's a mother, willing to do anything to save her daughter. Even if those things aren't nice. Another thing I noticed about her character as well is another very important thing. Trust. She is not easy to trust. She's not. Right off the bat, in all honesty, I didn't trust her. And throughout the game, it made it more apparent that I might not actually trust her. But once I got to those scenes, those quests, I trusted her. I knew that she was doing what she needed to do. I would try and stop her from doing some really fucked up things, but I knew she knew what she needed to do to save her daughter. But when you do earn her trust, the trust of Yennefer is forever. Never break it. Or she'll throw your ass through a portal and you'll land in a freezing cold lake in full armor and swords. Because that's what happened to me. Bitch. But yeah, I don't have much else to say on Yennefer of Vengerberg, but I loved her character. I loved the development of her. I absolutely adored what I learned about her from one game. From one game, I learned so much about her character and the type of person she is, and her relationship with Geralt, Ciri, Triss, Vesemir, and the rest of the Witchers. I saw their relationship and their development. And they did an exceptional job with that of Yennefer in the game. And I actually want to know more about Yennefer beyond this book. So they've definitely piqued my interest. But yeah, that's Yennefer. And I didn't think I'd go on as long as I did. I didn't think I had that much to say about her. Turns out I did. Just another testament, I guess. So, that's Yennefer done. For now, at least, until I eventually get around to reading the rest of the books. I wonder who I'll dive into next. I'll have a little think. But feel free to suggest. Other than that, I thank you for watching the return of the Lorden. And other than that, I thank you for watching. And I'll see you all next time. Ciao for now.